Hello, everyone. This is very strictly a teaching video. I'm trying not to philosophize and say bad things about the leaders who are cretins, although they are. And the reason is because I'm recording this on the 25th in the evening, and I'm going to post it on the 26th, because in the 26th in the evening, we are going to have a very, very tight, exact karmic cage. Karmic cages are the nodal axis and any planet that is squaring both ends at the bending. That's what the English say, that a planet is at the bending. And why is a karmic cage important? Because the nodal axis describes both our destiny and our karma. Then the south node describes our karmic experiences, things that we are going to utilize whenever we are either threatened or we are someone put us into a tight corner and we need to fight back, or we need to kind of survive the situation. We could say that it is our survival kit. Anything that we deemed important from previous incarnations, and we utilize it very instinctually. So it's not a conscious choice. It's something that you utilize. It's your weapon. It's your survival kit. Whereas the North Node is your chosen destiny. It's at the opposite end. And the problem with oppositions is no one likes oppositions. And we tend to live out one end of any of the oppositions and tend to project the other end to the outside world, to your loved ones or to your enemies, whatever. Simply because if you look at oppositions, and if you look at the signs actually that the oppositions occur, they are diagonally opposed to each other. So if you look at what happens in the year, throughout in nature, you will understand that they are polar opposites, of course. And so with the nodal axis, the problem is that we like what we brought in. We like the ability to try to survive, of course, because survival is one of the most basic instincts of human beings. And at the same time, we have a destiny choice that we made, and we are not very happy about it. And it's usually not easy. So it tends to take quite some time before we actually realize that this is what I want to do on a destiny level, or as my destiny. So what happens is we actually even take a look at it sometime at the second half of our life, maybe even the third trimester, maybe sometimes the last couple of years of our lives. And if you have a planet at the bending, which means you have a karmic cage, you do this much earlier, because squares are high impact aspects. They don't allow you to project the other end, the unowned end, to someone else. The square gives you daily chores, daily problems, daily issues, and you need to deal with it. So let's take a look at the chart. I did not do the whole chart because we are not going to look at any of the other stuff. I'm not going to show you any Asters and Centaurs and things like that. Just the configuration. This video, the original one, the Hungarian version, was meant for my students, because on the 2nd of June, I'm giving a workshop on configurations and how to dissolve them. And you might ask, do we really need a dissolution of any of the configurations? Yes, we do. For instance, a karmic cage can function much better if you have a dissolution to it. But let's take this apart. So we have the Jupiter North Node conjunction, which is tightening. It's an ever tightening conjunction, two sides, because the nodal axis goes backward and Jupiter is direct. And I keep harping about this, that the Taurus North Node denotes the task, the duty to create harmony, resources, stability, things that they are trying to take away from us. And the moment it enters Aries, because they go backwards, then you will have a year and a half when you need to fight. Okay, you need to fight what's yours and what's due to you. So you have a couple of weeks left, and Jupiter enlarges everything it touches. And now this duty, this chore that I need to have resources, I need to have stability, I need to create harmony around me, that idea is enlarged. Jupiter is squared by Mars. It's actually an applying square. It will be exact. No, it's a separating square. It was applying a couple of days ago. Now it's of course separating because Mars is much faster, but it's still there. And Mars Jupiter is the champion aspect. If it's a nice aspect, it's a flowing aspect. Those are very often found in Olympian champions or world champions. And even if it's a square, it gives you a lot of drive. The problem is that you sometimes misplace this drive and sometimes don't put it into good use, so to speak. So that is the Karmic Cage. And here's the dissolution, because if you look at the chart, by the way, did I tell you this? Okay, on May 26th, in London, it's 9 o'clock. In Budapest, it's 10 o'clock, so PM, of course. So that's wherever you are, you can actually see what the chart does. And what I did was I looked at anything around 3 to 5 degrees and see if we get a complex planetary picture. And yes, we do, because besides the Karmic Cage, we also have an inner tension trapeze involving the Sun and the South Node. So the Sun is illuminating what we are bringing in from past incarnations, which with Scorpio is always a lot of emotions and the tendency to get hurt, deeply offended, but not showing this to the other person, and never ever forgive. That's what South Node, Scorpio South Node usually describes. And so the Sun makes a quincunx to it, and this is the bottom of the trapeze. And you have two inner squares. One is the Sun trans Pluto square. The Sun is highlighting dimension jump and channeling, but it's a mutable square, of course, so it gives you tension. And of course, the other square is the Mars South Node coming from the Karmic Cage. And the top is a semi-sextile between Mars and trans Pluto, so you get the push, the drive to channel something down or to make this dimension jump. And of course, the Sun Mars sextile, which is separating, but still very tight, gives you energy. So that's what I mean by dissolution, that the tension can be dissolved if you have a couple of good aspects involved. And by the way, the Jupiter Sun semi-sextile is no longer there. It's, of course, separating, and it was there a couple of days ago. Okay, maybe 2.5 days ago. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you. This is another trick that I use in my readings and also in my teaching, that sometimes you realize that all of a sudden one chart point becomes important because a lot of diverse aspects are running to it. Tight but diverse aspects, which means it's not going to be a complex planetary picture as, for instance, this one here, because here at least some of the portions are closing and all the participating aspects are kind of whole sign aspects. So they are 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, 120, 150, and 180. So you get it by jumping in each sign to the same degree. Here, you can't do this because, first of all, you do have actually three quindeciles. We are going to look at it separately. You have a quincunx and you have a biquintile. So, and of course, the opposition with the nodal axis. So these aspects don't close. A quindecile, which is 165 degree, and the biquintile, which is 144 degree, There's no common denominator. They won't close. And we call this type of focal point aspect configuration as sliver. And I just worked in the garden around my roses, and roses bite. I'm full of rose bites. Okay, those thorns are just always getting into my skin. And that's what a sliver does. Sliver is very sharp, and it goes into one point, and it's quite painful. And that's what's happening to the south node at the moment, because you have the highlight from the sun, the Quindecile Arrow. We are going to look at separately, and we do have a biquintile from Neptune, which gives us some sort of insight and mysticism to the space-time moment. Anyhow, this is the Quindecile Arrow. As you can see, this is the narrowest of the arrow configurations, and it usually occurs with an exact opposition. So when we have a natural opposition, for instance, the nodal axis or the ascendant descendant or the midheaven IC, then you get this a bit easier. But this is a very, very rare configuration because it has to be so tight. The Quindecile has 165 degrees, has a 1.5 degree orb, and so and the semi-sextile has a 1 to 1.5 degree orb. So here you are. Now, in this particular Quindecile Arrow, you have Uranus and Vesta. This is an applying conjunction. It will be exactly in a couple of days. I may not actually do a video on this because I don't know. I will see. It depends on the space-time moment. But actually, I'm telling you now that this means Vesta is the focusing principle. Uranus is change and, of course, chaos. And it tells you to focus on the change and the chaos around you. Pay attention to what's happening. The Jupiter North Node we already delineated, and the Chiron Quindecile, the karmic wounds, are coming also into the picture. There is a Chiron Vesta semi-sextile, and all year long, and actually last year as well, there was a Chiron Uranus semi-sextile as well, and Chiron-Uranus aspects are always linked to Atlantis and what happened in Atlantis and afterwards. And this aspect kind of reminds us that we as mankind, as humanity, are at the brink of the same mistake. Again, of course, same shit, different year, which means the same shit is not the same, but with the technology, with our hubris, our total disrespect towards the divine, we are exactly where we used to be when Atlantis got blown up. Anyhow, so that's the semi-sextile between Chiron and Uranus, and Vesta tells us to focus on it. So this Quindecile Arrow actually tells us to try to find what was good in our life previously, what we brought in from previous incarnations, the knowledge we knew. As Douglas Murray often asks, how come that we are questioning things that we used to know and we used to be aware? How come we are questioning the laws of nature? Because that's what we are doing. That is hubris, and that is what we need to somehow get rid of. Otherwise, we are going to be in deep trouble. So anyhow, this was it. This was a shorter video now. I just wanted to show you how to look at and how to dissect and how to interpret configurations and what to do when you don't have a closing configuration, but you do have many aspects, diverse aspects coming from different aspect families coming towards the same point, and that's called a sliver. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.